We have our chapter member, Congressman Patrick Murphy, to introduce Dan Bosak.
Thanks, David. Thank you so much. I tell you what, David O was really the guy who worked behind the scenes that make tonight a reality. I think David O needs a round of applause. David, thank you so much. Thank you. And I see Mr. Kelly's leaving. Thank you for Mr. Kelly and Timmy. He did a heck of a job. Sorry for cursing. I forget. Heck of a job tonight. Sister, I have to go to confession at Nazareth tomorrow. I apologize about that. I do want to note that I did not eat the dessert because I gave it up for Lent. So I was the only one at the table, but I don't want to mention any names up here. So I do want to say what Seamus mentioned. All these elected officials that are up here, whether it's Tony Williams, Maria Sanchez, whether it's the two judges, I always chose, my mom's Italian too. Pentapino, Judge, I know Judge Covington is here as well, District Attorney, obviously the Justice McCaffrey, and also Brian Lentz. And I got to work for Brian Lentz 13 years ago. He probably doesn't remember this, but I was a young lieutenant, and I just was on leave from the Army to go to law school, and then I worked for him in the Philadelphia DA's office. And he was the only guy that I knew that was in the 82nd Airborne Division that was an airborne ranger. And he was just, I tell you what, he was a guy that he just aspired to be like. And we're just so proud that he's part of our chapter and all that he's doing for the Commonwealth of Pennsylvania and soon for the country. And we know he's going on to do great, wonderful things. We're all going to help him. When Brian played the tape of a C-130, I know we all envisioned it, and I wanted to stand up and say hit it, and I knew we'd all jump like this. But when we say hit it, the McCaffrey brothers were about to hit somebody, and I was a little worried about that because we all know, as he said, muscles are required, intelligence not essential. So we left that out of the speech. We didn't want Seamus knocking someone out tonight. He served with my father, and I know lots of stories about the McCaffrey brothers, even though his brother couldn't get in the 82nd Airborne Division. He's only a first Cav guy, but we still love him. Before I get to Dan Bosak, I also do want to mention two paratroopers that gave the ultimate sacrifice. They were mentioned earlier, but their parents that are here, Mr. and Mrs. Dombrowski and Mr. and Mrs. Umbro, both Bobby Debo Dombrowski was in the 82nd Airborne Division, and Colby Umbro, who was in the 101st Parachute Infantry Regiment with the 25th Infantry Division. Literally 3 years ago, this May, their sons gave the ultimate sacrifice for our freedoms and for our country. If we can give them a nice round of applause. It's an honor to be with you again tonight. Two sons of Bucks County and two heroes from our own community. Now I couldn't believe this. I found out in a speech, I never knew his first name was Walter. Dan Bosak. We all call him Dan or Danny. But he was a founding member, as you know, founding member of this chapter 22 years ago. Heavy drop Bosak, all right. Well, listen, he listed, I didn't say that. That was back there. So I promise I keep it short and sweet. I know he's going to be even shorter than I am, but he enlisted at 19 years of age. And back in 1965, drafted, did his basic at Fort Jackson, South Carolina, went to infantryman school at Fort Gordon, went on to be a medical corpsman at Fort Sam Houston, and then joined the division, the 82nd Airborne Division. We all know his community involvement, not just with the Teamsters, but also as vice president of the Cape May Ancient Order of Hibernians. Many of us are proud to be Hibernians as well. And we do want to mention the fact, you know, I got the bio, like we all got the bio about Danny Bosak, but I had to go to Billy Hamilton. I said, Billy, the guys in the Teamsters 107, I said, took the train down together to DC on Tuesday morning. I said, Billy, you got to give me something beside this bio I'm prepping. And he said, he told me stories I can't share. There's ladies in the room. But he told me the story about how you gave free advertising, not just to risk paper when you were there before you joined the local 107, but how you used to park outside Johnny's Hot Sausage on Delaware Avenue and Spring Garden Street. So Dan used to be there. He used to get in his wrist truck with the big advertising inside. He'd go there, park right there, Delaware Avenue, Spring Garden, big wrists on the side. He'd sit there and park, and that was his post from 10 a.m. to 4 p.m. He was there, became a business agent. Finally, they said, hey, why don't you come and be one of the officers at Local 107. But Danny, you got to work here when you come here. You know, there's none of this, you know, hot sausage that he eat every day that he loves so much. But Risk Paper did so well with that advertising, they actually built an office right down the street. But for the young veterans that are out there, you know, and I know when I came back from Iraq in 2004 and I came back home here, one of the guys that reached out to me was Danny Bosak to join our chapter and just to get involved. And between him and Pat Dugan and Frank D'Elia and all the other brothers that I got to know, David O. And when I was first starting out, I used to go to these guys for advice. And I tell you the one thing, as Seamus mentioned, you know, in our country, and when you wear the uniform of our country, we're all Americans. You know, I joke, you know, as the congressman for Bucks County, Northeast Philly, you know, I joke that I'm a Democrat and my wife's Republican. So I've learned bipartisanship the hard way. But when I talk to these guys, it didn't matter if it was David O., who was a Republican, or Pat Dugan, who ran as a Democrat, I think I could say that as judge, or guys like Brian Lentz. They'd sit down and they'd grab a beer or a cup of coffee with you, and they would sit and give you their honest opinion and give you good advice. And they did that because they set the table for our generation. And that's why every paratrooper in this room is so proud that tonight we're honoring one of our own, and Dan Bosak, who has been our chairman for 22 years, has been part of this founding members, has given his life to this country and our community. And with that, Dan, we want to give you this award, the All-American Award, to Walter Dan Bosak, March 4th, 2010. And our chapter proudly presents you this award, Dan. It's an honor to be with you, and it's an honor to call you a friend.